Welcome to another analysis video, and this time we'll be testing the Head Metallix 2 racket with the same string that we've been using for a few experiments, which is the Prince Tournament Nylon 1.38. So this racket is pretty rare. I don't think many were sold or even manufactured, but I managed to get my hands on one. So I thought I'd take it out onto court, test it. It's got quite a few interesting statistics. I didn't just randomly choose it. I'll list a few that caught my eye and try to make some sense of why I chose this racket. So let's get into some of the stats. I'll start off with the shot speed, which came in at 64.2 miles an hour, which is very low on the scale. And that indicates to me that we should have a lot more length control than we have in previous experiments. It's pretty much the main reason why I chose this racket, because it was out of curiosity. I've never really played with a setup with such a low shot speed from the off, and so the increase in length control plus my curiosity got the better of me. I strung it up with the string of choice at the moment, which is the Tournament Nylon, and I wanted to check out how it would perform out on court. Moving along, we've got the swing speed at 50.8 miles an hour, which is again very high. We've got a swing weight of 289, below average. It's pretty beginner friendly on top of everything that we've just seen. And we've got a vibration frequency of 155 combined with a flex rating of 68. So not much movement there. Hopefully we can get a lot of trajectory control from that, because we're not really going to get too much from the twist weight at 12.5, which is on the lower end of the scale. But I'm hoping that flex and frequency rating is going to counterbalance that. So yeah, a few more interesting stats. The head size is 102, the string pattern 16 by 19, so pretty stock. And we've got a head width of 24.8 centimeters. So all in all, a really interesting racket. You won't really find many setups with these types of stats, so I'm curious to see how we get on. Let's take it out onto court. I'll list what I experienced. And from the off, that increase in length control from the lower shot speed was very noticeable. It was substantial in comparison to the previous racket that I've been using, which is the SV98 Lite, the Onyx. This was a level above, if not several levels above. I don't think we've tested a setup on this channel with as much length control. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure we haven't used a setup with this much length control. It really was an eye-opener for me, and it opens up access to more strategies because you have more of the court to play with. So if I needed to use more angle, like on slices or for the forehand, naturally I'm able to break the sideline with my forehand for some reason, but when you're able to amplify a strength like that with a setup like the one I'm using in this video, it just makes me perform at a level above which I am used to. So I was definitely playing at an above average level, and being able to move my opponent, a skilled opponent, side to side and break the sideline with regularity off both wings, that's definitely a good thing. So yeah, that length control, I had a feeling it was going to be noticeable on court, but to experience it is a whole different thing. And I would recommend other players, if you can get your hands on this racket or something with similar statistics, man, you might love it. So give it a go. Of course, I'm going to try and provide a balanced viewpoint of this racket. And so let's move on to some disadvantages that I could come up with. And it's one of the more obvious ones, because the swing weight and the static weight is so low. We aren't getting any height or length control from those attributes. So all the length control was coming from the low shot speed and the string, which is the tournament nylon, giving us a lot of feel. Because we aren't getting any height or length control from the weight of the racket, it does mean that it's a little bit unstable when the opponent is hitting with heavy pace, with heavy spin, and also in conditions that are windy. You can feel the wind moving the racket about, and that instability can have a detrimental effect on the quality of your shot. So that's pretty interesting to note. It's important to note, especially if you are coming up against opponents that utilize a lot of pace or spin in their arsenal. So it might be something we need to take into account in future. And regardless, the setup was pretty cool. It dealt with, despite the low swing weight, the low static weight, and the low twist weight, it performed above expectations. I have used rackets in the past with similar weights such as this that performed awful, absolutely awful under pressure. But all things considered, I was pretty impressed. I would definitely recommend other users giving this a go. Taking into account both points that I've just mentioned, I would say that the perfect conditions for this setup would be a slow surface, but with the balls brand new. So you're getting some spin, some pace from that brand new ball, but the surface is slow enough where your opponent can't hurt you too much with pace and weight of shot. And if you're lucky enough to have a session where there's no wind or you're playing indoors, that would make it even more perfect. Quicker conditions, I'm not so sure this setup will be quite as effective, but I've yet to test it on a quicker indoor court. Perhaps when I do, I'll make a follow-up review and see if I was correct in my prediction that it doesn't perform as effectively as it does on slower outdoor conditions. Another strength of this setup that is definitely worth mentioning is the high swing speed, contributing to the increase in spin compared to what I'm usually able to produce. So hopefully you can see it on this video. I was playing with more spin than I usually would off of both wings, the forehand and the backhand. And I even think I was hitting with a bit more underspin on my slice backhands. And again, when you've got a setup that gives you a lot of length control combined with the low static and low swing weight, making it easier to swing at a faster pace and develop or produce more RPMs. And that's especially considering how conservative my grip is. It's Eastern on the forehand, it's Eastern on the backhand. If I can produce RPMs just solely off of the higher swing speed, then I'm very happy with that. It creates a heavier ball and I can push my opponent back. You can even see it on my kick serve as well. I don't usually hit with that much spin, I don't think anyway, and on this surface it does amplify the spin, especially with the newer balls being quite a gritty hard court. So yeah, the extra spin in comparison to previous setups, that was a welcome addition. I did find, however, that as the balls got older and we got into probably about 90 minutes of play, the rallies started to become brutal. He really upped his game, and 20-shot rallies were almost the norm at one point. And I know I've been harping on and on in this video about the length control, but I felt like I could even sacrifice a bit more high and width control for a little bit more length control, so I could be a bit more aggressive from the back of the court and try and take bigger cuts at the ball, so I could try and get that shot through the court more and maybe put my opponent under more pressure, so we weren't having these extended grueling rallies so often. I'd have to come up with a theory on how to achieve that. I've got a few ideas, but yeah, that was something that was playing on my mind. He was outstanding in that last set, to be honest. So I don't think there was much I could do. But if I was to go back into that third set, I would try and use perhaps a string that would give me even more feel, so I could try and take the racket out of his hands at some point, because he was retrieving everything. And at points in the third set, I feel like I was retrieving everything as well. And so it became a battle of fitness as well as a chess match out on the court. It was pretty interesting to experience. But yeah, so once the conditions got older, it did become a little bit more difficult to hit through the court. But I mean, that is going to happen no matter what the surface is. We're not playing with new balls every 8 games like the professionals, so that's just an issue that I'm going to have to take into account with pretty much every setup that I create. Right, I'm going to leave it there for now. That was the initial review of the Head Metallix 2 racket with the Prince Tournament Nylon 1.38 string. Overall, I was really impressed. It probably does rank up there as the #1 setup that we've tested on this channel so far, but there's definitely room for improvement. There's a few things I want to improve, just like I mentioned. Its performance under conditions that are exceedingly slow. I feel like we can take it a level above, and of course, you know, maybe we could even utilize more weight to try and give us control in terms of length, width and height, but that's something for the future. So again, I want to thank everyone for watching. I do appreciate it. If you did find it interesting, it might be worth checking out the other content on this channel and checking out future videos that are coming out soon. So hopefully I'll see you all there, and until then, everyone, take care.